Tracy Lingle with John Jackson here from Comfort Farms.
Yeah, man.
John, thanks for taking some time for letting me sit down with you
Excuse
and
me.
enjoy some of these, man,
Yeah,
old peanuts,
hassle, man.
Dude, these are amazing.
Gullah nuts.
Gullah nuts. Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. So tell us a little bit about Comfort Farms and about this upcoming event we got coming up this next weekend.
Good deal, man. Yeah, so Comfort Farms was born out of my time as a United States Army Ranger. I did 11 and a half years. I first started with 115 Infantry and 3rd ID and on Fort Benning. And then after that second deployment, which really hurt my feelings, I said, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right. And I decided that I was going to go Ranger. So I became a Ranger, served with 375th in Fort Benning, and then joined over with 75th RSTB, and then ended my career in the 75th Ranger in the headquarters up there. And so once, I got a disabled vet, 100%. And I decided that I wanted to do something to help vets like myself just kind of find better quality of life and feel whole again coming out. And I wanted to use farming as a way to do that. And so that's what I came up with this idea of using farming as a way to help veterans. But I needed to name the farm. And so there were a bunch of people, obviously, that I was close to that got killed in combat. And I wanted, and not just combat, but also through suicide. I just wanted to kind of find a meaningful name. And I was going through all the lists of my buddies that either took their life or got killed in action. And that word Comfort Farms kind of went up there. My Ranger buddy, Captain Collie Comfort, he got killed on May 8th, 2010. And that just had this certain appeal to it because farming ain't comfortable. And Kyle didn't pick a comfortable job to get into. And so a lot of that philosophy had to do with we only grow in our discomfort, right? So we having problems, we're having issues, and the more uncomfortable we are, the more we can grow, right? And so we attack our problems just like we did in the military. You get a threat, you got to eliminate the threat. But now we got new threats, right? We have our insecurities that we have of ourselves back in this civilian life. We have our families that are melting down because the communication isn't working. A lot of guys stop paying their bills, doing it on time. So now you got overwhelming debt, right? Those are the things that lead, when they all compile on one another, they lead to other things. So if we don't attack those things first, we really can't, focus on having a better quality of life. And kind of that's what Comfort Farms has done for a lot of veterans, which is to get them in a space where they can think about the things that are most important to them, attack those things, and start to live a better quality of life.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I've been following you for a while now. When did you start Comfort Farms?
I started Comfort Farms in 2016. The nonprofit Stag Vets Inc., which is STAGVETSINC. STAG stands for Strength to Achieve Greatness. That got started in 2014 when I was going through WTU. I just took like 18 months of planning on what I wanted to do. And having never farmed before, I figured I just did all my research and developed that nonprofit, Stag Vets Inc. And Comfort Farms is a program under Stag.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I didn't get the farm until 2016.
Okay.
I was doing urban farming back in Columbus. And then I get out here with this 30-something acres, and it was like somebody gave me a small country, So, yeah, it's a lot of land to produce on, and we do really, really well with it. Really, really well with it.
Okay. And so this, we got a Q for the Few. Is this an upcoming event? It's coming out August 31st?
Yeah, so August 31st, Labor Day. This is our 4th annual Q for the Few event. Supporting our veterans. It's a fundraiser for Comfort Farms. It's how we, raise money throughout the year with the various different workshops and events that we have. And this one is designed to bring veterans out from all over the Southeast, to the farm. And they compete in the backyard barbecue brawl. So there's a lot of smack talking, real friendly environment. The community comes out and supports. And we're competing for best chicken, best ribs, and then we throw in a caveat, best side. Everything has to be done over an open fire, no electronics or propane, just wood, coal, fire, smoke, and that's it. And then we have our turn-in times, and may the best team win.
Oh, nice.
That's it.
Nice.
It's
Well, I will be competing in that. I'll be there. I don't know how well I'll do, but I'll be there.
It's so fun. We tell people all the time. We tell people, just cook for your backyard, right? That's what it is. We get a lot of chefs that come through here that are magnificent chefs. They work at high-end restaurants. They don't even place. It's a shock to their soul. I get guys who they use my smoker. They YouTube literally the day before how to cook ribs, and they come in second.
Yep.
Okay? Because they're not over chefing it. They're not overthinking it. It's like, hey, how do we cook the best rib that we can? And so it forces people to kind of step down just a little bit on adding too much stuff, because what we're looking for, you think about your backyard, everyone's looking for flavor. They're looking for appearance. They're looking for texture, right? So just focus on those things, and you'll do okay.
Yeah.
You'll do okay.
Awesome.
Good deal.
Awesome, man. Well, I think it's a wonderful program you got going on here. I've been wanting to come down. You've got other events too that you have throughout the year?
Yes.
What's the other big one? I think it's around January.
Yeah, so in January we have the La Pierre du Mont Boucherie. That's an event it's a 3-day event. It's like Woodstock for farmers, man. We invite chefs, farmers, butchers out from all over the country. They come out here, and it's kind of a pilgrimage for a lot of veterans, because we have a sweat lodge on the back of the property where we do Lakota style, and we do a veteran sweat that Saturday morning around 5 o'clock in the morning. We're up on the hill back there, and that's really one of the most mindful things that you can be a part of. We put down all of our livestock on Friday that we grow here and that we get from other farmers. And before that happens, our anybody that's on the kill team, they go to the sweat too, to kind of, reinvigorate their soul, really be mindful. All the chefs and the butchers that come, they kind of take off for that week. They bring their team out here too, because this is the only way that you can get connected to your food, to the land, and to people in a way that is just like full of integrity and honorable. And the stars of the show obviously are our livestock and our food, and we give so much reverence to that. There's not a dry eye in sight that whole weekend. It's very memorable, and I am just so fortunate to be able to put a venue on like this every year, where we are seeing more and more and more vets come out to this thing every year.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I realized we're not far from the Georgia Veteran Memorial Cemetery.
Right, absolutely.
I didn't realize how close we were. I've seen signs for it when I drive through Georgia,
right,
but I've never actually been there. So I'm thinking when we come back down to come out here, I'm going to swing by there and check it out.
Yes. Make sure you check out our sign out front too. We are the memorial that we have from the Georgia Gardens. They made Comfort Farms a site. We're the 173rd site in the whole state, and so that our sign is out front too.
Okay,
so that you can check that out. Yep,
I'll check that out. Yeah, so you've also are really big into heritage and conservation of heritage breeds of plants and vegetables.
Yeah.
What's just kind of give us an idea of some of the things you've done with that and some of your accolades with that, if you don't mind sharing some of those.
Yeah, man. So part of my story was coming out of the military and trying to focus on my identity, who I was, and I come from a transatlantic slave route background, and so. For history, those of us who are African Americans who came from transatlantic slave trade, our history only started at the point of slavery, and ended up with struggle, continued struggle, and just displacement, right? So there's not a lot that we know about who we are as people, as individuals. Our last names have been taken away from us and things like that. So I usurped the whole history and started going back to the food of my culture, of my ancestors. once I started doing that, other things started opening up, big time, right? Like these peanuts here, these are African runners. Peanuts are uniquely from South America, but they were introduced by Africans. Africans were growing peanuts 150 years before Christopher Columbus set foot on the continent.
Oh, wow.
How did they get them?
Yeah.
Right? And so what history says is that Africans didn't have the aptitude nor the knowledge or even the ingenuity or innovativeness to travel the seas. Christopher Columbus wrote in his book that when he arrived to the mainlands, and there were natives there that had kind of like black and gold spears, and they were told that the black people came and they shared things with us, and blah blah blah. Well, those same spears can be found on the West Coast, but history hasn't been given towards Africans in a way that is very progressive, right? It's been taken away. So I talk about those things, and as I start looking, we understand that the seeds don't lie, right? The history may tell its own story, but the seeds in our food history, they don't lie, right? So I'm working on a book. I'm writing about this now, about how all this kind of came about. But it was the unique stories of our food that really kind of open up into bigger stories that I've never found about. This okra right here, it's called a Catawba okra. It was from the Catawba tribe that was on the outskirts of the Cherokee Nation in North Carolina. Why is this so significant? Because out of the 5 favored nations, the Cherokee, the Catawba, even though the Catawba wasn't amongst the 5 favored nations, but all the 5 favored nations owned slaves, right? And so okra is indigenous to Africa. The Catawba had their own enslaved people, and their enslaved people brought their food to the Catawba Nation, and this is in their unique seed genealogy that they have as part of the food sustain. When the Cherokee were kicked out of this region, and along with the Muskogee and other folks too, they went over to Oklahoma during the Trail of Tears. Most people don't know that over 6,000 enslaved people walked the Trail of Tears with their native masters. And so that's something that we're not taught.
Wow.
So the seeds don't lie, right? We can clearly see that this is an African food. Watermelon is too. And when I travel the world and I work with indigenous people, I look for the wherever my ancestors worked through their food. And I find, cowpeas, I find okra, I find watermelon that date back to past the 1600s. And those are food of my folks that now I'm able to come back, tell their story, revive their spirits, and we do it in a way that that's meaningful, and to give back the dignity and respect that those people gave back, that those people, as they were stolen and captured, forced labor, we talk about them in a way that's enlightening, so so that's awesome. Why I do seeds.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Everyone's got a family history that goes way, way back.
Yeah,
and it's finding that thing and that speaks to you, because I mean, we've all have our recent history that's really important to us, but then that long term, and then seeing how we got to where we are, because I mean, even for white folks over here, we didn't start here.
Absolutely.
We came from somewhere, and I've got family members that have been really big into the genealogy and know a lot more. I mean, I got family on multiple sides, that served on both North and the South.
Mm-hmm.
I've got family that they started off in North Carolina is where they came in, and then they branched when they overgrew the land that they had there, and so they went out west and north up to Illinois to find land, and then they grew from there, and then they came back and moved all over, and it's just seeing how they progressed based on whether it would be from persecution, from religious persecution,
Yeah.
politics of the region, or just because they got oversized
Yeah.
for the land. There wasn't any more land around them. They wanted to continue farming, and the families grew beyond the capacity of the land. So they would branch off and take their families and go somewhere else to start and expand.
Yeah.
So that's neat. It's fascinating how and how food follows.
Food has to follow. Your food is your. I mean, without they said without agriculture there would be no culture, right?
Right.
You know, we all went from killing animals, foraging, hunter gatherer communities to, hey, we need to settle and we need to domesticate food. When that grain or when that food was domesticated was the tall tale signs of when the culture started, because now you don't have to live just in survival mode. You're thriving, and you need to feed your armies, you need to feed your communities, you need to feed your individual self. And with that, when you have sustenance, now you have things like engaging in the arts, and music and things. You can't play music if you're just trying to survive. You can't draw and do artwork if you're just merely trying to survive. So a lot of these ancient cultures, you start looking at the arts as part of the culture, because they had food which actually satisfied them enough where they didn't have to worry about where they were going to get their next meal from.
They could start being creative.
They can start being creative, right? And so that's because your basic needs are met, and so that's why food is so important. Now with GMOs and all those varieties, they're taking the culture out of food, they're putting it in the lab, and then they're replacing all of our ancient varieties with these lab varieties. And now what we're doing is committing cultural genocide, because seeds are the only things that are given to us by our ancestors, because with those seeds are the migratory patterns that we have for how we got to this place. Here are the dishes that we've traditionally ate. Here are the base of the traditional dishes that, hey, we now bring other cultures into, and we kind of blend around to either make those things better, or because, hey, our societies are blended societies, but we're still using the cultural base. When I went to Peru last couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, what I found was that most of their dishes were Peruvian, but until I asked about the Afro-Peruvian dishes, the chef, who is like Michelin star rated, he did not realize that most of the comfort food that he grew up eating was from the Afro-Peruvian descendants from there. And so he was excited to go back and to learn those things that he just kind of never thought about. But because I'm there doing research on, just African people who have been displaced around the world and what their contributions have been towards food, it lit his mind up to a whole nother level on what he should be doing as far as when it comes to like a lot of cultural dishes.
Wow.
So that's, it's, I love what I do. It's, and I'm able to bring that back here on Comfort Farm. As a result of my travels, I end up being the Georgia Conservationist of the Year, end up taking National Conservationist of the Year. And then when I was in Norway last week or 2 weeks ago on the 8th, they put me in the Georgia Conservationist Hall of Fame as a result of the work that I've been able to kind of bring back from indigenous people.
Now, how do they go about presenting that? Is that something that is elected by your peers, or is that by people in the in the conservation industry that choose you for that?
Yeah, so people in the conservation industry, they choose. There's always people that they put up. Every year, and being able to get. Looking at my unique story of what I do with veterans, but also what I've done to heal the land. I'm a public speaker, so I travel around the country to actually do public speaking engagements. And, a lot of this work, like when I was in Florida last, the topic of that conversation was, harvesting for resilience, cultivating people through cultivating our lands, right? So there's a social aspect through growing, but growing food is social. You know what I mean? It's just something that we do, right? But those are the kind of things and the type of topics that I talk about consistently, regularly, bringing it through our social media, using those philosophies to help our veterans kind of move forward and actually seeing it in the land. And so when folks come in, they saw that, that I took cut over land, Georgia red clay, and in less than 18 months, we got like, what do you call it out there? Chocolate cake soils. It's like there's something to that,
Right.
And no, we can't feed the world the way that we farm, but I can feed my community. Mm-hmm. And if there's enough of us that feed our communities the way that we farm, then we can feed the world.
Right.
And so that's what I make. I make that claim.
Okay. Well, that sounds great, man. I just love what you're doing here. I can't wait to see what else you got coming on.
Oh man, we got a lot.
And I can't wait to work with you again this next weekend.
Yeah.
And check that out. And so if somebody wanted to check out what you got going on, where do they go? Where do they go?
Yeah, so first place is just visit us on Facebook and Instagram at Comfort Farms, or you can go to our website, which is at Stag Vets Inc. STAGVETSINC.org. Send us a message through there. You can look at all the upcoming events. We're pretty active on our social media, so that's kind of like the best place to get us. Email is the number one, info@stagvetsinc.org. Send me a message, and then I'll reply back. But we're pretty active, like I said, on social media and through our emails. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And you also have a meat market as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our what do you call it? Our farmers market is open twice a month, and we ship to households who are not able to make it if they want things to ship. Shipping is a little bit expensive, but we try our best to make sure that those things are good. We have some of the best meats around. We really specialize in like real high quality pork. That's our thing, our claim to fame. But we also do rabbits, we do ducks, we do chicken. And we have eggs, and we do a lot of our vegetables. Comfort Farms is moving more towards culinary herbs, medicinal herbs, as ways for health, and
Right.
And so we're in the stages of doing about 64 different varieties of herbs, and we're going to be making a lot of wildflower teas that have benefits as well. That could also be shipped to homes, but can also be picked fresh right here on the farm.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time with us. Again, if you see more about what they got going on, Comfort Farms on social media, and StagVetsInc at .org for other stuff. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks
you, man.
again.
Appreciate it, buddy. Awesome.